on the TAN Talk family of stations.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner, licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. Moments of Clarity's mission is to educate and end the stigma on mental health through the inspirational stories of our exceptional guests. You can join in the show by calling Tiffany toll-free at 866-826-1340 or on Facebook and Twitter at MOC with Tiffany. Now, here's Tiffany Werner.
Hello, and thanks for listening. This is Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. My name is Tiffany Werner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And today we have a story of survival with some good friends of mine that I've met quite a few years ago that have an extraordinary story that was at one point really, really sad and has overcome. But they came all the way from Boston to be live in the studio with us today. Mm-hmm. And before I introduce my guest, I want to say hi to Ed.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. How are you, Ed?
I believe it's not Boston, it's Baston, isn't it?
Boston.
I love that commercial. My friend found Baston. Anyway.
Yeah. Is it? I don't know how to get you on the camera here.
I'm not on the camera. I'm looking right in front. I'm right in front of you. They don't need
virtually.
To see. You know
yes,
what?
They do.
You know what? I just wanted to make sure there's no echo, right? Nothing like that. I mean, it sounds great. You know, and let's worry about the camera next time.
Yeah, okay. So for you guys just listening, and if you're not catching on to the inside jokes on that one, mastered this Restream virtual, got it on YouTube and LinkedIn Live and Twitter Live and Facebook Live on several things, and then just for COVID, and then started coming back into the station sometimes and logging into the studio's computer. It's a whole different program. Look, it's laid out differently.
That looks
but normally I get to say, let's say hi to Ed. And also most of the time the guests are virtual with me, not actually next to me, but.
So we're swapped.
Yeah. But I still could put you on the screen, even though, why are we the only lucky ones that get to see your beautiful face?
Well, yeah, right. All 2 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, it's the highlight of a lot of people's day.
Yeah.
And you're my guest next week.
Gonna mark that down. Yep.
You're my guest next week.
Okay.
Yes. Anyway, so all the way from Boston, an award-winning author, and I'm looking forward to catching up because when we last spoke, they were talking about making your first book, Struggling with Serendipity, into a Netflix movie or something like that, and you've written a second book since then. And she's nice enough to remember me and say, I've written another book and I'll be in Florida and I'd love to come down and be on Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. Mm-hmm. And I said, why? So thank you so much for being here, and with you is your husband, John. Mm-hmm. And so Cindy and John Kolbe, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
And I have a bell over here. I forgot about. So tell us a little bit about yourself as if I've never met you. Let's start from the beginning, because your story is kind of a jaw dropper if you hear it for the first time.
Sure. Maybe a little background first is John and I were raising 3 kids in a small town in Ohio. And, we were both working full time, good life. Or ordinary life in a way.
Pretty good.
And then, how in the blink of an eye, your lives can change. That definitely happened to us. So,
people don't really think about that all the time.
Right.
We look forward to certain things, worry about certain things in the future, the what ifs, all the things like that. But why not stay in the present moment and appreciate every moment? Because like you said, in the blink of an eye, everything can change.
Right. And that moment for us was when I fell asleep at the wheel. I was driving home late at night from my son's college concert and fell asleep at the wheel 5 minutes from home.
Yeah, it wasn't drunk driving or anything like that.
No.
You were just exhausted
Late at night. Yep.
with a bunch of kids in that car.
Yeah. It's my 2 daughters and one of my daughter's friends. And so I actually lost consciousness when the car hit a ditch, flipped 3 times, and landed upside down. The thing that I remember the most from that night is, well, first, you're hanging upside down and you get your seatbelts off. I helped Beth with hers. My youngest
Beth is the
Beth.
daughter.
Mm-hmm. She was
So
in
you
the
guys-
passenger seat.
So
14
you guys
years
were
old.
upside down in a
Mhm.
ditch, basically.
Yeah, it was kind of a field, with a ditch. And when I take her seatbelt off, she just lays on the ceiling, a bed of glass, parents' nightmare, of course. But immediately, she's looking at me and she's saying, "Mom, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay." And she's calm and she's telling me this. And,
I remember you telling me
Yeah.
that, and meanwhile, you can tell her neck is broken.
right, the way she was laying, not a normal angle. And so I won't get into too many other details. I know that can be pretty horrific and sad to think about. But from there, she was life flighted. And I think it's interesting in the book, I follow my journey and her journey. And for years we were connected. We shared so much. But our impressions and memory of the accident and that night, they were pretty much completely different. The facts were the same, but how she approached it was completely different. And we actually have a short excerpt in the book that kind of shows that, or we can just paraphrase it, whatever you prefer. Go for it. Okay, John.
Sure.
It's just this part, it shares what Beth wrote about the accident.
This starts chapter 2, which
So
is
wait, really quick. This is your second book, though.
It's actually a second edition.
The revised edition or second.
Yes,
So
of
it's
my memoir of struggling with serendipity.
So the first
Right.
book, just before you start,
Sure,
for
sure.
the listeners,
Sure.
that Cindy took her memoir after this accident where it left her daughter paralyzed
Right.
at age 14
Right.
from accidentally falling asleep at the wheel.
Mhm.
Just as a mother myself,
Yeah.
the anguish and
Sure.
long-lived feel of probably guilt and
Right. Heartbreak.
all of that, leaving my
depression.
child paralyzed.
Sure.
Years of watching her physically go through physical therapy and all of that,
Mhm.
you had to carry that on you
Right.
as feeling at fault, even though it wasn't your fault.
Even though
But-
she never blamed me.
and even more so,
Right. Right.
heart-wrenching here.
Yes.
So Beth is her daughter, who's never walked since then, and so Cindy had written a book, Struggling with Serendipity,
Right.
and that was when we met
Yes.
3 years ago.
Mhm.
And it's, amazing. She's been on a book tour, and her daughter Beth has been so supportive. And just wait until you find out where Beth is now. But as a mom, even thinking about having to live with that
Right.
and going through your own depression
Right.
without feeling like you can make it about you. Like,
Exactly.
so you're going through all this depression and you're watching, and not once did she feel, from what I remember from just knowing you, she didn't feel that she had the right to tell anybody that she was feeling depressed or at fault or anything. She didn't want to make it about herself, because there's her 14-year-old daughter who's learning how to function with the wheelchair.
Exactly. Right. So
I just wanted to give you credit for that and then also
well,
explain it a little bit more clearly so people understand.
Right. It
And-
was right. And anyone can imagine that, I didn't want to add worry to my family. I felt like I had such catastrophically disappointed or failed everyone I loved.
Mhm.
I had chronic depression before that. Of course, it was increased with the accident, and I didn't feel like I had, even at that point, had the right to ask for help, which was wrong. But so yes,
you probably would have been more helpful had you gotten the help to help your depression while caring for your daughter who was going through all this, because
one of those life lessons. Yeah. Oh, definitely.
that it's okay to not be okay as well.
Yes.
I mean, what are you supposed to be, Mary Sunshine, while this is all going on?
Right. Oh, we tried.
I know. I bet you did.
We did.
I bet you did.
That was the thing about all this. It really is like two stories because Beth contributes to the book with her writings and her media quotes and her letter to the readers. And like this little brief excerpt that John's going to read kind of shows you what a different journey in her mind that she was on.
Okay.
This is chapter 2, Shatter. Things that don't matter until they do. Caffeine, a payphone, rushing air, loud music, and a ditch in the dark. My experience the night of the accident differed from Beth's. She wrote about it soon after. I was strangely very calm. A nurse told me I was in shock. The doctor stuck many needles in me during the helicopter flight that seemed to last only a minute. I found out later there were high doses of medicine that slows the chain reaction of nerve damage. I landed at St. Vincent Hospital in Toledo. I was taken to an exam room and they cut off my clothes. They jokingly asked me if these were my favorite jeans, and of course they were. I had tests taken while I was trying to get some sleep. Through a speaker on the wall, they were yelling at me to stay awake. When I was taken to a room in intensive care, my dad asked me if I wanted to know what the doctors had just told him minutes before. I was paralyzed from the chest down. I believed it, but it didn't scare me. Hearing her diagnosis for the first time, Beth paused only a moment before simply responding, "Let's talk about what I can do." Sleepily, she added, "I can still sing."
Okay, so I'm not even kidding. I've got chills a little bit. That was written years after, but through the eyes of a 14-year-old.
Exactly. And actually it was written a few months after. She wrote about it for school when she was 14. So
So she was paralyzed, but she was able to use, so not quadriplegic, so able to write and everything. But
no, actually she's quadriplegic. So yeah, that was another every single thing she had to relearn how to do, right? She tried in terms of that typing and writing, she tried voice programs, but this was back in 2000 and they weren't as good then. So she didn't like it. So actually that particular one, I was typing while she dictated. And then gradually over high school, college, well, in high school, she actually figured it out. She uses like 3 fingers and types herself. And now working as a lawyer, she's pretty fast.
Oh, you're giving away the spoilers.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's just one of the spoilers. There's a lot of them.
Truth be told, I cheated during typing class, and I don't type the way I'm supposed to either. Mm-hmm. Really fast, but with probably 3 fingers.
You learn what works, right?
I guess I'd probably be a lot more efficient if I had paid attention and not typed my friend's notes instead of done the exercises during whatever. Anyway, the sidebar. It's time for our break, and we'll be back with Moments of Clarity with Tiffany in just a moment, so please stay tuned.
You're listening to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner. We welcome your input at 866-826-1340. Tiffany will be right back after this.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
Hello, my name is Lucy Lopes, and I'm a real estate agent that supports ending the stigma on mental health with Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. I am also passionate about helping you buy or sell your home. With times being so difficult, I'm here to help. Contact me at lucylopes.com. That's LUCYLOPES.com. Let me assist you through this pandemic and know that you are not alone.
Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment, and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com to view blog posts and resources on this site to help educate and inspire you to take action, because there's no shame in seeking help for mental health. While you're there, please take a few seconds to sign up for my email list. You'll get some extremely valuable educational and entertaining content that can be sent right to your inbox each week. Plus, you'll also get instant and free access to my guide on managing your anxiety. You can also follow me on Twitter at MOC with Tiffany and at Facebook at Tiffany Warner. And once again, the website is momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to your show, because change can only come when we stand together as one.
Are you looking for a great book? If you like to root for the underdog, Joe Potosi's book is a book for you. A real American odyssey that will grab your attention with its fast-moving narrative. You won't be able to put this masterpiece down. When the Dust Settled by Joe Potosi. Go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or Zulin Press.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
We are back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner. To join in the discussion, call 866-826-1340. Now, here's Tiffany Warner.
Hello, and welcome back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. My name is Tiffany Warner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And today, if you're just tuning in, we have a guest from Boston. Right, Ed? Boston. All the way from Boston, that's been on the show. And when they come to visit Florida, come to visit Tan Talk and Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. Have a life-altering accident years ago where Cindy, the mother of three, fell asleep at the wheel and tragically, not drunk driving, anything like that, but the car flipped and paralyzed her 14-year-old daughter. And she's written about it, and the book has been picked up by and looked at by movie makers, Netflix, things like that, because the story is amazing. If you like that movie Soul Surfer about, someone with just complete faith and hope and everything, loses a limb, but still becomes a professional surfer, doesn't let her stop. This is kind of along the lines of that. And welcome back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany, Cindy, and John Kolbe.
Thank you.
So we left off with an excerpt from your book, Just Keep Swimming. I've got Finding Dory or Nemo in my head. Right. Just keep swimming. A crash, a quest, and waves of hope. Catchy title, by the way. And you're welcome to call in and ask questions. 866-826-1340. 866-826-1340. We're also on YouTube Live. Just type in Moments of Clarity with Tiffany and leave chat on Facebook or anything like that. But 866-826-1340. Give some support, give some questions, or any feedback that you would like to share. And so before we left off, you read a small excerpt that was Beth's point of view. Beth's her daughter that ended up paralyzed.
Right. Quadriplegic, was C6-7 injury in her neck, paralyzed from the chest down. Also, her injury also means she can move her arms, but doesn't have finger function like you or I do. Mm-hmm. She can move one finger on one hand a few inches up and down. And then the other way that quadriplegics can actually use their hands, even though they can't move individual fingers, is with their wrist. So when there's a natural reflex, when you bend your wrist, which she can do, so she bends her wrist and it makes her fingers close. So that's the way she can grab things and use her hands. And it's amazing now. She can do basically most anything.
We
She's
adapt
learned.
when we
Yes.
are learned without something.
Right.
How people brush their teeth with their feet or something.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You learn what you need to do. She was very driven to be independent and to also have a quote normal a teenage experience. So part of that was she was in rehab.
I love how you quote normal. What is normal anyway?
Right, exactly. Right. So normally someone with her injury would be in inpatient, be in the hospital in rehab for months, 6 months sometimes. And her accident was in May. She wanted to start high school on time with her friends. And she was adamant about it. Even though she could barely push a manual wheelchair, she chose a manual wheelchair instead of a power chair, which power chair would have been much easier. But she asked her physical therapist, how will I get stronger faster?
So
what kind of
if
chair?
She can't use her hands. She was pushing a manual with her wrists.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. And these are just small examples. I don't want to get into too many of those because there's a lot of them in the book. But one of the things that struck one of our favorite scenes that explain those high school years was she's a freshman in high school, new school, and she started on time with her friends with a lot of accommodations. But she also wanted to go to the homecoming dance her freshman year, which was just a few months after her injury. Do you want to just paraphrase that?
Sure. And that was so many years ago, but I think sitting here today, I can just picture it so clearly. We pull up in front of Columbian High School in Tiffany, Ohio, and get her in her chair and everything, and we park across the street and we stand there and we watch her wheel up this long sidewalk, inclined upward to the front doors of the high school, and it seemed like it took forever.
We offered, but of course she didn't want us to push
it. It was a dance, so she must have been in this beautiful gown or something.
Exactly. And I just, my heart sank at that moment, watching her, by herself, wheeling up there with all that grit and determination that she would show from that time period and onward in her life. And we worried, we went back home and we thought this could be quite an emotional experience, going to a dance and, in a wheelchair and all her friends and so on. And we come back to pick her up, and you want to go ahead and see what we found?
She came out with 3 of her friends. I was taking the other girls home, and they were just bouncing and laughing and talking nonstop. They get in the car, and it's that way until we drop the other 3 girls off at their houses. And, it was obvious Beth had a good time, but I was just kind of curious. So I just asked her when it was just her and I, well, Beth, did you dance? And she goes, oh yeah, all the time. And I thought, okay, great.
This is months after?
Yeah, not long.
Maybe
it was
4 or 5 months, yeah.
Right. And I go, okay. And so we get home and she's still kind of buzzing and happy, and she goes to bed. And then her sister is a year and a half older, Maria. She went to the same dance. And Maria came home a little later. And I'm talking to Maria, and I said, well, I'm trying to understand, so Beth danced, most of the night. And she'll, oh yeah. She said it was a group of friends, boys and girls were just dancing together, having a good time. And then she starts to get teary. And then I start to get teary. And what I write about in the book is, Maria and I, after the accident, I remember, we both had the survivor's guilt thing,
Mhm.
because we were not injured like Beth. And, I remember, there were some emotional times. But I remember after that homecoming dance, and she's telling me about that, we just hugged each other, and, we were both emotional, crying a little bit. And it was different. It wasn't the, oh my gosh, whatever is going to happen, what bad things are going to be happening in the future. They were happy tears in a way, just Beth's joy in life. We were just like, oh my gosh, it was
4 or 5 months later that she still made it to the dance and insisted on pushing herself up a hill when she wasn't quite even used to the wheelchair.
Exactly.
And can I fast forward, since we're talking about high school?
Sure.
I want to fast forward 4 years later, because, the high school experience was just amazing for her, and she did quite well. But 4 years later, she's a senior, and it's, what was it, the homecoming? She was on the court.
She was on the...
And we had to laugh, because we could laugh 4 years later. We're in the stands, because the attendant, the boy that was pushing her across the football field, she was kind of swatting his hands away because she didn't want to be pushed, because that was kind of her MO. I can do everything myself. And I think they kind of got into an argument. And he felt like, no, this is my one job.
You're supposed to escort.
Exactly. That's what. And I think she relented and kind of let him push her a little bit. But I think we saw what was going on.
Yeah, there was kind of a pause when we were supposed to be moving, and she's going back and forth. But
I wish I had uploaded the pictures of Beth, because years later, and I'm going to spoil this, but Cindy's kept me up to date and with Beth's wedding and pictures of her graduating Harvard and all of these things. Wonderful parents make wonderful kids. And when you're talking about Maria and you crying tears, I can understand that you're just so pleased that she still had a good time.
Yes, and it was
but sad that she had a different time, but still,
and that she needed to have a different kind of. I
get
she
it.
was in a different situation, but
sad that she had to be in that situation, but happy that she was able to enjoy herself still.
Exactly.
I get that.
Right.
Call in if you would like to give some feedback. 866-826-1340. 866-826-1340. And join the conversation. What an amazing story this is, and you guys always, I've heard it a few times, and it never gets old.
Yeah, and it's continuing, in a way. So many good things. I was going to mention, you said pictures. I have pictures on my websites, cindykolbe.com. Kolbe is spelled Kolbe. So cindykolbe.com.
You have a Facebook page.
I have a Facebook page. Just keep swimming. And
also, let me see. Facebook, yes, just facebook.com/just keep swimming book.
Actually, the Facebook is just keep swimming (hope wins), but you should be able to find it.
Not what you sent me.
Oh no. Well,
I have it twice wrong in here.
Well, I think that was my original thought, and then Facebook said no. Oh no, you know what?
We'll just go with it, and we'll fix it in the narrative in a little while.
Yes, I promise. But there's a lot out there, and even my old website, Struggling with Serendipity, I've got photo galleries on that. It just became this odyssey or this journey that we just never in a million years would expect to happen to us, just living our lives in small town Ohio. You
had to probably move, just like since the accident happened 5 minutes from home, passing that area over and over.
Well, I was able to get past that because I ended up actually having a job just down the road from there. I managed a group home. Yep, drove by it every day.
And the word serendipity really sums it up.
Yes.
I love the title of your new book, Just Keep Swimming. A Crash, a
Quest.
and Waves of Hope. But I love the struggling with serendipity as well.
Yes.
Because the definition of serendipity, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I want you to explain where you got the title.
Well, the struggle was even when good things started happening, I was still struggling. I waited way too long to ask for help, and I needed help.
Serendipity means basically faith.
Yeah.
Fate. Something
or
bad that happens, or something meant to happen that lead you down a certain path, or
right, and
coincidence
things,
or
right?
unexpected.
Yeah, exactly. And while I was struggling, serendipity just kept falling in Beth's lap. We would tease her that she was a serendipity magnet, but at the same time, she was also a really hard worker and very open to possibilities and opportunities. She did not turn down opportunities like I probably would have when I was young.
And
just being
she was
a little
probably just determined to not let anything get in her way. And it doesn't sound weird or anything, but I've seen pictures of her. She was on homecoming court because she was beautiful and kind, not because out of some pity or things like that.
Right.
And she was. She's beautiful, and that's usually who gets picked for homecoming, not because she was disabled. I'm just how some people would choose someone just because of compassion or pity or whatever, but she belonged on there with or without the wheelchair.
Right, exactly. And I know we're going to run out of time on everything. And
let's take our break early so we can pause for a second.
Sure.
And you wanted to maybe do some more excerpt.
Sure.
Also call in 866-826-1340, 866-826-1340. And we will be back with Moments of Clarity with Tiffany in just a moment. So please stay tuned.
We will return to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner after these messages.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
If you are like most people, you worry with the financial challenges you face today. How do you protect your family from financial ruin? How will you reduce your liabilities and get out of debt sooner? And how can you deal effectively with the constant changes in your job, your career, and your business? Overcoming your financial challenges is like building a house. You must build from the ground up. You must learn how to make more money, save more money, grow your money, and protect your money. Forever Forward Financial specializes in teaching you these 4 basic money skills so you can achieve your dreams and end your worry. Call us today and schedule your complimentary, no-obligation meeting to discuss your needs and concerns. Call Scott Bigley at 727-422-7761.
Hi, this is your host, Tiffany Warner from Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. I want to thank you for all your support on ending the stigma on mental health for over the past 7 years and with over 600 episodes, as well as several award nominations and placing as a finalist in 3 categories on the People's Choice Podcast Award last year. If you're listening to this on audio, please visit and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Moments of Clarity with Tiffany and enjoy viewing previous shows in case you missed any live. If you're interested in advertising and would like to promote your company, it is affordable and an effective way to get your company the attention it deserves. I also welcome potential guests as well, and all information can be found on my website at mocwithtiffany.com. Thank you again for your continued support, as change can only come when we stand together as one.
Hi, this is Tiffany Warner, your host of Moments of Clarity. I'd like to give a shout out to musician-songwriter Don Lawson, who wrote, produced, and performed all the vocals and instruments on my Moments of Clarity theme song. Don gained his inspiration as a mental health counselor himself. He's always looking for artists to record his songs, and you can hear more of Don's music at reverbnation.com/Don Lawson. You can also check him out on Twitter at Don Lawson Music. Thank you so much, Don, for your contribution to Moments of Clarity and ending the stigma on mental health. It's awesome.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Now back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Warner, licensed mental health counselor. To engage in the conversation, call 866-826-1340. Here's Tiffany.
Hello and welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. My name is Tiffany Warner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and I'm your host. And today we have Cindy and John Kolbe. Cindy is an award-winning author of a book, but with the second revised edition. And that's been nominated for several awards, as well as wanting to be a movie, that kind of stuff, all because of its sincerity, its truth,
Right.
and it's her memoir of survivor guilt, falling asleep behind the wheel, and one of her children ending up quadriplegic afterward with a spinal cord injury.
Right.
And persevering and into never giving up. Never did.
Right.
Never stopped the challenge, even months just after the accident.
Right.
And because of time, I'm even gonna fast forward, but
Right.
ended up as a lawyer from Harvard, helping people with disabilities.
Right.
So the fun part of her first book, Struggling with Serendipity, the serendipity of everything. What if this was meant to happen? So the lawyer from Harvard could help others with disability. So I don't know. Welcome back, Cindy and John Kolbe.
Yes. Yes. I wanted to mention really quick for listeners who may not have heard our story before, kind of the reason for the title of this revision, Just Keep Swimming. I mean, yes, it has a generic meaning of keep going, which does apply to the book.
Swimming, just keep swimming.
But it also has another meaning. And I'm just going to give you a real brief thing about how swimming was a game changer for Beth.
Oh,
which
wow.
never, that was also completely unexpected and a serendipity thing. Lots of serendipity stories. But I'm just going to tell you that she started water therapy after her accident with 2 physical therapists holding her up in the water because she couldn't move she wasn't strong also early on. So she had 2 physical therapists holding her up in the water. Okay, and then we're just going to do a really big fast forward, but there's more in the book. Okay, fast forward to me sitting in the stands in this gigantic swimming arena, bigger than any I've seen in the U.S., and we've been to a lot of big ones in the U.S., the big university complexes. Okay, so this gigantic swimming pool with packed seats, people standing, huge pool. It was the Beijing Paralympics in 2008. And I'm in the stands and I'm watching Beth compete with the U.S. Paralympic national team. She also swam on the Harvard women's swimming and diving team for 3 years. But with being in Beijing, I'm watching her do this beautiful forward freestyle, smooth. Her body, her legs drag, but she learned with her swim coach where, her body is just straight in the water and she's just using her arms. She can't cup the water with her hands because they're like in fists. But even with all that, she's just doing this really smooth, beautiful freestyle in Beijing for Team USA. It was, wonderful. And she also earned an American record, set a new American record there. So there's a lot more about that. It was not a quick thing. It was not an easy thing at all. But that's part of the story too. And then where that took her and us, because for the first 4 years, we were a team. And I should say, I don't know if she's able to listen now or if she's listening now or not with her work schedule, but, I just am so thankful how supportive she's been of me needing to write this book and needing to share it. And she's been great.
And speaking of sharing, I have one nice little excerpt from chapter 24. I'd like
Before
to
you start,
share.
just with that,
Go ahead.
I'm going to ask Cindy a question. It's a hard one. Are you going to ever be able to forgive yourself and put yourself first?
I can honestly say
and you know why I'm asking that?
Yes, I do. I do. I can honestly say I have. forgiven myself. A lot of years of counseling, years of seeing Beth do so well, and kind of leading the way on, well, isn't life great? Let's do this. So I'm trying to keep up with her. And we've had some really great talks even early on. She never blamed me, not once. And counseling helped me understand that, I tried for years in my mind just to undo it. What if I had done this? What if I had done that? And I'm so grateful to good counselors for helping me get out of that. And learning to take care of myself and learning to manage my depression, all those good things.
But also, where would you be now if that didn't happen?
Exactly. We're all different people, I think, in our
sometimes
immediate
bad
family.
things happen, and it defines our character, how we react, and what we do with it.
Right.
Beth is a great example. You are a
Yes.
great example. Things happen, and it kind of leads us to a path of what we're supposed to do, and it defines our character, how we're going to handle that.
Just think of all the people we've met, and it's just
serendipity.
It is. Yes, that's a good way to.
I wanted to throw that in there, but no.
Sure.
You deserve to forgive yourself, and I tell you that all the time. But at the same time,
it can be easier said than done. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can understand that. So, John, give us an excerpt.
Oh, yes. So this is 10 years after the accident, basically. On July 26, 2010, a gorgeous summer day, an excited law student wearing a new red dress hurries down Pennsylvania Avenue. It isn't her first trip to the White House. At the gate, security checks her name off the list, and she proceeds to the lawn. Her smile dims momentarily when she can't see the podium over the packed rows of chairs. Pushing her manual wheelchair through the grass with effort, she aims to the right of the chairs, parking at the end of the front row, where she won't block anyone's view. Event staff approach to ask her to move. They retreat as the ceremony starts to mark the 20th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. She discovers only dignitaries in the first row, but stays put rather than risk looking disrespectful with the ceremony underway. I watch on TV, and I can't see Beth. I listen to Nathaniel Ayers, a gifted musician battling mental illness, who gives a moving performance on the trumpet after struggling to tune his bass. President Barack Obama talks about the ADA as a touchstone for additional progress. After the ceremony concludes, the president walks towards one end of the front row and shakes the bent hand of the beaming young lady in a red dress. He probably wonders, who is this girl? Beth laughs when she tells me how she shook his hand, flustered, and said thank you more than once. That evening in a fancy ballroom at the ADA gala, she dances the night away in a one-shouldered black satin dress.
You're going to stop?
Well,
there's more.
And then what?
I think part of this story, too, is not only all the people we've met and the opportunities that Beth has had and I have had because of it, but also what some things we've chosen to do, like the mentoring. Even right after her accident, she started volunteering more even than she had before the accident. And I've been a lifelong disability advocate in different forms all the way through. Right now, I'm a peer mentor for the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation for other moms of kids with spinal cord injuries, because when Beth's accident happened, that this program wasn't available. And it really is not, I think anyone going through a tragedy, it can be you feel alone, even if your family is also experiencing it. You have a lot to deal with. But spinal cord injuries are really an unusual thing, I guess I should say, compared to other kinds of tragedies. And I think I've really valued my friendships with the moms, and there's so many other peer mentors in the country that the Reeve Foundation coordinates that, I just think how nice it would have been to just be able to get on the phone at 3 a.m, when I couldn't sleep after Beth's accident, and I'm thinking about all these terrible things that are going to happen, and to be able to talk to a mom who says, well, you know, it's 10 years after my son's injury and we're okay. You know, because there's a point in the early on where most parents and often the people who are paralyzed, they're not really sure things are going to be okay. And they, you know, it's a really difficult thing. And it not only impacted our family, you know, extended family, our friends, best friends. I mean,
the ripple effect is
Yes.
never ending.
Right.
However, you wouldn't be doing all these things and helping other families with similar situations, all this stuff. If
Right, exactly.
I mean,
yeah, we
life
wonder.
is so
Yeah.
full of wonder.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
there's so many people out there that have anxiety from fear of the unknown or fear of
Right.
commitment, fear of abandonment, from things that have happened, survivor
Mhm.
guilt or
Sure.
other things, veterans, you
Mhm.
name it, trauma,
Right.
that once you start to work on yourself, which you deserve the counseling, which
Mhm.
no one is above that. Every healthy adult should have
Right.
a counselor, in my opinion. But not only that, but seeing it for what it is and saying, okay, well, this is a setback. What are we going to do now?
Right.
This is something that we're going to handle. This is life.
Yes.
And now what?
Mhm.
Not living with as a victim and
Exactly.
saying why me and all that
Mhm.
stuff, but more so being the survivor.
Right.
Like what now instead
Yes.
of why me?
Well, and giving back, I think we help ourselves when we help others. It's not,
Yes, we
it's not
do.
always just, you know, a nice thing to do. Yeah, it's important.
It's well said, very much. And
I also have had the opportunity to speak at Abilities Expos across the country for the last 4 years. And that's been wonderful too. You know, meeting the people there and even the other vendors and the organizations that set up there. I'm going to Chicago coming up for the Chicago Abilities Expo, and I'm excited. I'm going to be able to get together with one of my mentees, one of the moms that I mentor, that we'll be able to get together there in person, because it's you know, different. Most mentoring takes place, you know, virtually, text, emails, phone calls, but in person is different. It's nice.
it's nice. I mean,
Yes.
COVID put a wrench in that
Yes.
for a lot of things, but
For sure.
it is, it's nice to be able to kind of slowly acclimate back, but
Mhm.
nothing's the same as it was pre-COVID.
Exactly.
Now we've got balloons flying in the air with whatever, and then who knows?
Yes, we don't want to know.
We don't want to talk about it right now,
yeah.
but at the same time,
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
got through one thing and, you know, done, on to the next one.
Yes.
There we go.
You know, I just remembered too, I want to mention that I have a once a month Just Keep Swimming newsletter. And I put a lot of time into that. And it has a section on mental health resources, just simple things like maybe.
I'm not on your mailing list for that.
Oh my goodness. I will
And
put
you
you on.
have my mailing email.
I will make sure you get
But
that.
I don't have that. And
Yeah.
I want that.
Great.
And I
yeah.
send out emails sometimes, and if you want to be on that email list, just saying, you can just text. Let me find it because I don't have it memorized for some reason anymore. But but anyway,
Oh, no, you're
working
fine.
on that. Text
Yeah.
MOC to the number 22828 to be
Mhm.
on mine. But
Yeah.
to have that newsletter,
Yes. And
must take a lot of time.
It does. I mean, for me, I guess, I don't know if it would take that long for anybody else, but I try to have some fun things in there. And I'm going to have a fun surprise in there March 1st or April 1st.
How do we sign up for your email?
On my website, cindykolbe.com. It's free. It's once a month. I try not to. I don't clog up your email box.
Do I know about this surprise that you're
Yes.
alluding to?
Yeah.
Does that have something to do with Elizabeth?
Well, we're not allowed to say. So there's just lots of good news.
It's like this CindyKolbe.com.
Yes, exactly. And there's just a couple pages on the website. There's a newsletter section you can check out.
Thank you so much, Cindy and John Kolbe.
You're welcome.
I highly
Thank you.
recommend, please go to the Facebook channel, Just Keep Swimming.
Can I mention a real fast thing?
Sure.
Real fast is I should mention I have signed copies on my website also, cindykolbe.com, and they're quite a bit less than Amazon, if you're interested.
And autographed.
Yes.
Anyway, thanks everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you guys for coming all the way from Boston and for all you do for everyone. And you're really making a change.
Thanks for
And-
having us. Thank you.
Well, and you are too. I love your show. Yeah.
You always have
reaching out.
your first fan mail that I got to the radio station.
Oh,
It
really?
was like either a thank you card or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like a whatever. And it was so sweet.
Oh, good.
And coming into the station, they're like, "You have mail." I'm like, "I do." I have that somewhere too. I think that's like one of the only letters. But anyway, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful weekend and be safe. Be kind to yourself and a stranger. You never know what they're going through. And don't forget that change can only come when we stand together as one. Thank you so much, Ed. And everyone, see you every Friday, 12 to 1, Moments of Clarity with Tiffany. And take care.
Don't put yourself down, time for a change. Believe in yourself, time to rearrange. Be your best friend, bring hope to your day. Lose your critic, get out of your way. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now I get it, moments of clarity. To yourself be kind, it will please your mind. Find your joy, trust in you. Put in the time, you'll see how you grow. Many kinds of love you get to define. Find self-love, your soul will align. Now it clicks, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now I get it, moments of clarity. Now I hear moments of clarity. Now I get it.